Well, government has a new galamsey war strategy. It is generating a fair bit of controversy. Let's get to it. As you may have learnt about over the last few days, there's a lot of conversation around what else can this new government do to really make significant inroads in the fight against illegal mining. One of the first new pieces of interventions, as far as the strategy is concerned, is this announcement that the Interior Minister put out last week, which is that they are not interested in prosecuting foreigners involved in illegal mining. They are only interested in deporting them. Listen to the Interior Minister.
And the Chinese and some other citizens, Filipinos that we found, the kind of activities that we did were purely defrauding citizens around the world using a system that is set up that was so sophisticated. Many of them are into our forests. Many of them are cutting our trees unlawfully. Others are involved in galamsey activities and many other crimes. We have resolved as a new policy that for two things, you in our forests, whether doing galamsey or cutting our trees unlawfully, getting yourself into fraud activities, that's whether using computer or other fraud activities. For these two crimes, when we arrest any foreigner, we are not interested in prosecuting them. Our first option is to take them back to their country. And this is something that we are very serious about. And you are the first point of call. When sometimes you make arrests or when people are arrested, they are handed over to you. Please, if it involves these two things, the prosecutors within the police have officially written to the Attorney General, we are not interested in prosecuting people who are destroying our environment and who are defrauding people across the globe.
So that's the first different war strategy. We are not interested in prosecuting people who are destroying the environment and engage in fraud. We will deport you. We'll arrest them and we'll deport you. So that is the first strategy, new strategy adopted by this government. The second strategy adopted by this government is this announcement that now all police commanders in illegal mining areas will be immediately transferred. And that is a very important new strategy. And the thinking there, according to the Interior Minister, is if you are superintending over illegal mining in your district, then you have no reason being there as a police commander. You have failed, and so you have to be transferred. And then he says that you'll be replaced by a new commander. That commander also has been given 3 months to fix the illegal mining in that district. If he doesn't fix it, he will also be transferred. So two very important interventions. Not interested in prosecutions, will arrest foreigners and deport them, and then police commanders in illegal mining districts will also now be immediately transferred, replaced by another group of commanders who will have 3 months to fix it. If not, they'll also be transferred. We also know that there's strong collaboration now between security agencies and Attorney General's office to try and get to the bottom of this, but nothing as controversial as the first two I brought you. The government is also now looking at a whole raft of other measures, but those two are key. But there are fundamental questions to ask about the first intervention, as you may have guessed. One, because this policy of arresting foreigners and deporting them and not prosecuting them, we have seen that before. It sounds very familiar to the Aisha 1 case, very famous indeed, the so-called galamsey queen. She was arrested under the previous administration. Instead of being prosecuted, she was deported. At the time when she was deported, civil society criticized the decision to deport and not prosecute. The government at the time said they had no interest in prosecuting her because they didn't want to offend China, to paraphrase. Well, as it turns out, she's deported. She finds her way back into the jurisdiction, and guess what? She was found on a galamsey site, still destroying our environment. So it has been established, at least through the Aisha 1 case, that deportation doesn't stop these criminals, these terrorists, and by the way, I'm using terrorists because the Lands and Natural Resources Minister called it so, it doesn't deter them from returning into our jurisdiction and continuing their nefarious activities and destroying the environment. It doesn't. So that's one to bear in mind as we go into our conversation. Aisha 1 teaches us that. And to back this policy up, the minister tells us that they've already arrested 107 foreigners who have all now been deported for illegal mining. So they are already implementing this, right? And over 60 of the arrested related illegal miners, we know, as far as arrest is concerned, ongoing, clampdown, they've arrested a bit more. So the government is doing something about it. It's a case of what do you do when you arrest them if they are foreigners? If they are locals, prosecute them. If they're not locals and foreigners, deport them back to their countries, right? The government has done a few other things, slightly less controversial, like assent to the Ghana Gold Board. They said that's part of the measures to deal with illegal mining. LI 2462, they are amending it. Even there, there's some controversy around either repealing the entire piece of legislation or just amending a particular clause under one. They've also done the revocation of the small-scale licenses issued after December 7th, and that has been dealt with, and they're now reviewing to see if those suspended deserve a renewed license. They're auditing the small-scale mining license and establishing a special court in conjunction with the judiciary to deal with this matter. Also, deployment of the river guards have also been some that they have implemented. But if you look at the budgetary allocations to the various ministries that have been tasked to cooperate and deal with this matter, you see the Interior Ministry is taking the lead there in terms of the budget allocation to it, 13.7 billion. What that means is that they expect that the fight against illegal mining will take a chunk of the budget, right? Because if you are in the forest with police, with military, chasing after illegal miners, it will cost you money. And so they have 13.7 billion under its belt. But the rest of the ministries, Lands Ministry, Environment Ministry, which we are told is leading it, they've not got anything close to what they have. This is a manpower question, putting boots on the ground, going after illegal miners, arresting them, deporting them, or prosecuting them. And so they have a bit more money. And you see the trajectory there when it comes to the budget trends for the Lands and Natural Ministry. It has climbed, but you see there that it slowed under this administration this year, and it's in red now, some 1.8. So it hasn't gone up by much, right? And then as for the Environment Ministry, it has actually dipped from the previous administration's last allocation to the ministry. And that is a conversation we must begin to have now. Let's assess this new galamsey war strategy right after this. And PBS is always brought to you by Syntex Hanks. It is strong, it is tough. It's also brought to you by Academic Times newspaper and the Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste. Joining me for a conversation tonight is Professor Kwesi Eni, who is a security consultant. I'm delighted that he can join us. Also joining me is Darrell Bosu, who's the Deputy National Director at Arocha, Ghana. I'm also delighted that we can speak to Ebenezer Oklite-Labi. He is the Deputy Interior Minister who joins us tonight for a conversation. Kofi Amankwa-Menu is the Deputy Ranking Member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. And Joseph Nelson is the Western Regional Minister. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on PM Express. It's a very important conversation indeed as government tries to reinvent the war against illegal mining. Professor Eni, let me start with you. There are two main angles to this, what I call the new war strategy. I want to start with the first one, which is the decision by the Interior Minister. And I think that is one we haven't had before in terms of the war, which is that all regional or district commanders, or police commanders in the district where we have illegal miners will be removed and then will be transferred. New ones will come in. Those replacements will also have 3 months to fix it, or they also go. Is that an effective strategy?
Well, it's a useful strategy, but if it's implemented in isolation of a grander, holistic strategy, it's not going to work. And it's not going to work because it's related to the very first point. When you give a free pass to foreigners who commit existential threats to your state, and you tell them to go free without prosecution, and you haven't amended the Minerals and Mining Act of 2006, Act 703, as amended by the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act of 2009, Act 995, then you are basically cutting your nose to spite your face. If you also read the president's State of the Nation's address, in which he recognizes the dangers being posed to this country by galamsey, and the subsequent speech by the lands minister, in which he states very clearly that the fight must be treated with urgency, so the shift in police commanders can be interpreted as part of that urgency. Mm-hmm. But we are treating the matter as an emergency, and we are working around the clock 24 hours a day. These matters must be dealt with all urgency and emergency they deserve. You don't treat people who pose an existential threat to your state by telling them to go home scot-free. You are giving an open sesame for transnational organized criminals, and we can list them and from which countries they come from, to come and flout your law because they will go free. And I've appealed to His Excellency the President that if this is part of the war strategy against galamsey, then it is bound to fail.
Okay, and that's a very important point you just made there. I want to bring in Ebenezer Telabi into the conversation. He will join us pretty shortly, but I believe we have Johnson Nelson, who's the Western Regional Minister, with us. You are the chairman of the Regional Security Council in the Western region, a region that we know is ravaged by illegal mining. What, until we just lost him there, the internet just dropped off. Let me bring in Kofi Amankwa Menu, who is a deputy ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee. As far as the committee is concerned, have you received any briefing on this new war strategy? Kofi Amankwa Menu? Please unmute for me.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Good. Good evening to your listeners, and good evening to Professor Reassigning. As a committee, we haven't been briefed on anything like what I'm hearing for the first time this evening. We've not been briefed as a committee, but I find these measures a bit interesting. Interesting in the sense that, to a very large extent, I agree with what Professor Henning said. If one goes to your country or one comes to your country and commit a crime, and then all you can do is to ask the person to go back. Trust me, give the person maximum 2 weeks. The person will be back. When I heard it, I was asking myself, so if I happen to go to a country like, say, Togo or China, and I commit a crime, and that crime is considered, a criminal act within the jurisdiction of the country legally, am I just going to be deported? What I know in other jurisdictions, when you commit a crime, and that constitutes a crime within the criminal code of the country, the person will have to be prosecuted, you serve your time, and then after serving your time, you will be deported back to your country.
Well, Kofi, accept that this is not an entirely new policy, except that this is the first time an Interior Minister is stating it in such stark terms. Under the previous administration, your government, Aisha 1 was deported and not prosecuted. That also generated a fair bit of controversy. The government then explained, almost similar to what we're hearing now, that they don't want to antagonize the Chinese. And we saw what happened. She came back, and she came back destroying our environment. So it isn't a new policy.
Thank you very much. So the fact that we did this yesterday and never achieved the results that we wanted to achieve does not mean we have to continue doing the same thing. My brother, if we continue doing the same thing over and over again, we will get the same results. And trust me, the fight against galamsey, sometimes, over the years, I have always had problem with people who have sought to, as it were, politicize the issue of galamsey, because this really has now gotten to the roof and is actually getting out of hand. And so it is important we tackle this galamsey issue with the seriousness that it deserves. And so, yes, if Aisha 1 was just sent back because we did not want to antagonize the Chinese, we are talking of the livelihood of the Ghanaian. We are talking of the health of the Ghanaian. We are talking of the protection of the Ghanaian. And so for me, we need to take measures that will really deal with this issue once and for all. let me talk a little bit about the transfer of police commanders.
That certainly is an effective way to fight it, is it not?
It isn't at all. At all, at all, at all. What do you achieve by just transferring police officers?
Well, you show them that they have to fix the problem. They are there to fight crime. And that is the biggest crime against the state.
How are they going to fix the problem when the actors of the problems themselves are not being arrested or not being dealt with?
Well, they are being arrested. I mean, just to clarify, they are being arrested. The locals, Ghanaians, are being prosecuted. The foreigners have been deported. So there's an arrest that's happening. In fact, the police must arrest first.
Can I tell you a story of what I experienced this afternoon? I happened to be in my constituency going round. And then I happened to be in an area where there is a lot of galamsey going on. And then I saw a low bed with 2 excavators. And you know what the town folks started saying?
Tell me.
Hey, where do you to wait? This one is 2. God, we are dead. The town folks themselves are getting fed up with the destruction being caused to the environment by these things. Trust me, Evans, you and I live in this country. You know that changing police officers and then sending new police officers to give them 3 months to fix this problem, a problem that we've not been able to fix in years. You are asking a police officer to go in there and fix the problem within 3 months.
Yeah, but why not? I mean, in this country, as far as the civilian jurisdiction is concerned, the police is a preeminent security agency. If they are not fixing it, who else?
It is true. But you and I know that there are also big works behind this thing. It is not the police officers
the law is no respecter of persons. The police must be arresting whoever is involved in galamsey.
The law, I agree, the law is no respecter of persons or any person. But Evans, you and I agree that we live in a country where some people are bigger than the law. Some people are bigger than the law. If indeed we are to apply the law equally, then we will be dealing with this issue. This galamsey issue has been with us for a very long time. And so, yesteryears when people were trying to politicize it, for me, it was very scary. But I am glad that now we have all come to the realization that if we do not do something drastically about the fight against galamsey, trust me, there will be no Ghanaian in the coming years, or there will be no Ghana in the coming years. It is scary, and I'm glad we've now come to that realization.
Stay with me. I want to go back quickly to Prof. Inine, and I'll hear from Daryl. Prof, on the transfer of the police officers' intervention, that strategy, I know you've linked it to the deportation, but the first part of the minister's intervention is that locals will still be arrested and prosecuted. The foreigners will be handed over to their home countries. The police's primary job is independent of what the political strategy is, right? Their job is to arrest the people and attempt to prosecute them. So they must do that.
It's almost like colonial policy, in which we have 2 laws for the same crime. So those with lighter skins not from Ghana, will just basically be sent home. And those of us, you and I, will go to our very horrible prisons. Now, when you do that, you are telling your own citizens, now look, I don't respect you enough. I'm going to treat you like debt. And then woe betide you if I lay my hands on you. Now, if the change of police commanders is part of a grander war strategy, what is the strategy? How many police commanders are involved? What is the threat assessment? What are the logistical needs? What are the reporting lines? Is there something on paper? Now, when my brother Amankwa Menu says that his critical committee has not been briefed, they haven't seen any papers. Let's not forget that when you put your troops on a war footing, you need extra budgetary resources that must be approved by the appropriate parliamentary committees and the full House to be able to prosecute this war. So this is not being done seriously. And I've appealed to His Excellency the President to ask the minister to pull back, put something on paper, and to look at it carefully. Let me read the law to you. Act 995, Section 37 says a non-Ghanaian who undertakes a mining operation or facilitates the participation of any person in mining contrary to a provision of this act commits an offense and is liable to a conviction or of a fine not less than 100,000 penalty points. B, a term of imprisonment of not less than 20 years and not more than 25 years. C, or both. Number 4, where a non-Ghanaian who is liable on summary conviction under subsection 3 is a person liable to deportation. So the minister is only choosing the deportation part, but that does not serve as a deterrent. Because we are facing an existential threat. I was in my village over the last weekend at my country home, and the water smelled of chemicals, filthy, stinky, a threat to our lives. You cannot choose the cheapest way out. That does not serve as a deterrent. So I'm appealing to His Excellency the President to have a look at this. Let's put the nature of the threat to the survival of the Ghanaian state and the cost to us, and to say, how best do we do this? How best do we resource the police service? Let's not forget that we've had Operation Vanguard, a joint military police operation that was a total disaster, that had no logistics, no fuel. The men or the personnel got entangled in the galamsey themselves. So look, whilst we want to deal with this crisis, we've got to deal with it and deal with it in a systematic, methodical manner to ensure that we uproot this canker once and for all.
And thankfully,
I think it's hasty, and it's not going to get us anywhere.
And thankfully, we have the Deputy Interior Minister with us, and so we can get some clarity on this particular policy. I'm grateful that you could join us in this conversation. I remember when the Minister made the announcement last week, one of the things he said is he's already directed the IGP to effect the transfers of the police commanders in mining districts. Can you update us on that? Have these commanders been transferred yet? Please mute for me. Please unmute for me.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I can
Yeah,
hear
hello.
you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. I think that, yes, my minister said, he indicated that we are going to transfer some of those, some of the commanders or all the commanders that are in the mining areas. Mm-hmm. And there are good reasons to do that. What we realize is that some, as you know, Dr. Ainin said, we sent Operation Vanguard, we sent police, and some of them became, converted in quotes. They became themselves miners. So they've gotten to know the people. They are so used to the people, and sometimes even if they want to exact, any punishment, because they've been living in the community for a very long time, they find it difficult. You know how Ghanaian communities, how we live. We become like family. So sometimes it's difficult to look in the face of a friend or somebody you sit around and drink with, somebody you play, you attend the same funeral and other things. It becomes very difficult. So what we are saying, what my boss is saying is that to start with, let us, remove all those commanders. Let's take them to other places. Let's bring new face, new person. And I am sure that it is not going to be, for only the commanders. We would have, there's going to be a very comprehensive overhaul of the police administration in terms of where each and everyone, will be policing. So that is going to be done. I believe that the processes are in place, and we are going to effect that very, very soon.
Yeah, I mean, the police commander was instructed to do this last week. Have you given him a specific time frame? The IGP,
yes.
The IGP was instructed. Did you give him a specific timeline to effect this?
No, I don't think so, but I don't think so, but we expect him to act immediately. But you see, yes, the instruction has been given, but the fact is that you also have to look at where you are sending the people. If I'm taking a commander from, let's say, Odan, it must be done tactically, such that whoever we are going to bring to that place will not also become complicit. So a lot will go into it, and that has been left to the police administration. They know themselves better. I think the IGP is on top of his job, and therefore he is going to do that and inform us, what he is going to do.
But Mr. Telabi, why are you sanctioning these police officers in these illegal? Just a second. In these illegal mining areas, if they indeed react positively to this new intervention, they will arrest. They will arrest the illegal miners. They will arrest foreigners. Only for you to deport the foreigners they arrest and not prosecute them, because you're categorically stated you're not interested in the foreigners who are engaged in illegal mining, who will be arrested by these commanders that you are threatening to sanction. That policy, there's a policy inconsistency there.
Well, certainly, if I heard Dr. Enin, copiously reading the
Mining Act.
The act and the sanctions thereof. But the fact is that, you see, you and I, we know when it comes to litigation in this country, dealing with our courts, and it can sometimes be very frustrating, because we have instances where people are deported, people are arrested, and you know what, my brother, let me tell you something. It is true that people get arrested, and we prefer repatriating them than to take them through our courts. Because you see, when you arrest them, they'll tell you, take me to court. We have lawyers, yes, rightly so. They need, to be proven guilty by our courts. But the fact is that the situation on hand, we cannot do things, the same way and think that we'll have the same results.
Mr. Teller,
we need to be a little bit innovative. It wouldn't sound pleasant.
But where's the innovation in deporting somebody? We've done it before with Aisha One. There's no innovation there.
The point is that, you see, if you are arrested and then we get their embassies to repatriate them, because you see, the whole thing is so complex. You arrest some of them, and all they tell you is that they don't have their passports. And the identity is very difficult. So once they get into the system, it's difficult to even track some of them. You understand? So once you are lucky and you grab them, at the crime scene, now taking them, we have another challenge at our prisons. We are looking at 14,000, a population of prisons that we have now. Feeding them is even a problem. Taking care of them. I mean, recently, last week, my boss went to Kumasi. The pictures I saw, seriously, the prisons are congested. So if there's a way to not to exacerbate the situation by sending these people back to their home countries, I think that I would opt for that. Yeah. I would definitely opt for that.
But Mr. Telabi, do you concede, though? You said that taking these foreigners through our legal system is frustrating. The course will frustrate you.
Yes, sometimes, yes.
But you are okay dealing with the frustrations when it comes to Ghanaians you arrest, but you are not okay dealing with the same individuals when they are foreigners. That is double standards at best.
Oh, not really. Not really. My brother, you see, let's be realistic, because you arrest about 80, Chinese, and then you have to find a place to keep them, and then sometimes even vehicles to take them to court. It's a problem. You go to court and they succeed in getting, bail.
But that also applies to the Ghanaians who arrest.
Certainly, but you see, the point is that I mean, there are a few things that I wouldn't like to disclose. Some of the things that happen behind the scenes. I wouldn't like to disclose everything on air or in the public. But there's so much going on, and in fact, if we don't take care, we are going to lose this fight again. If we don't take care, we are going to lose this fight.
But
and there are other things that are coming. You see, the point is that we are looking at a lot of options. Looking at a lot of options.
One more point on this new option. You say you want to win. You want to win the fight. You already have the example of Aisha Wan, who was deported. At the time, your party criticized the previous government for doing so. Guess what happened? Aisha Wan returned and continued with her illegal activities, destroying the environment. That has shown that it doesn't work when you deport. It's prosecution that works. So why are you repeating the mistakes of the previous government? Something you criticized.
I mean, not exactly. You see, the point is that...
And in fact, you're now writing it into policy.
Yes. No, you see, the point is, we are not throwing away the existing law. We are finding a way to deal with this issue that has become, complex, because you see, you have all manner of people involved. You see, I don't know whether what I'm going to say, this illegal money, most of them.
Oh goodness, we have a problem with a connection to him.
Yes.
Mr. Teller, can you hear me? I lost you briefly, yes, but I have you back now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello?
Loud and clear. I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't see you. Okay, no problem. We can continue. What I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that, you see, hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
I am using my phone and people are trying to improve.
I understand.
Yes.
They are watching on television. They want to reach out to you at the same time. Yes. Go on.
No, I'm not watching television, but I'm using my phone.
Yes, yes, I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, but I can hear you.
We are looking at getting the root cause. Those who are sponsoring, those guys that you see around, those guys that are getting buried, underneath. I mean, in this, what do you call it? In the ponds, in whatever. Those who are getting buried, those who are really doing the digging, are not the real owners of those pits. They are not the owners of the excavators. The owners are the foreigners. They have the money.
But those are
and they bring all of this into the country.
But those are the people you want to treat with kid gloves and send them off in the aeroplane.
Not exactly. You see, the point, if we arrest about, you see, if we arrest about 1,000 of these people and we have to keep them in our prisons, and then that gives them an opportunity for lawyers to get them, granted bail, and then they come back and find their way in the system, because a lot of them, when they get here, they throw away their passports. So it is very difficult to even repatriate them.
So prosecute them.
And my understanding is that even it was the recent one that happened. It was some assistance that the Chinese embassy gave us. They even sponsored, the repatriation. They paid for their passage. There are other nationals from Sudan, from all over. When they get in, they just throw their passports away. And getting these people back is not easy. When they get into the system, it's difficult to trace them and track them. So we are just pleading that we need support. the support that Ghanaians must support us, because some of these people come, they don't just get up and come. Our people bring them in. So we are asking Ghanaians to cooperate.
Yeah, Mr.
So that at least,
Mr. Talabi,
yes.
Your policy is also subject to law. Do you concede that this new approach is a blatant violation of the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act?
Certainly. That is on the surface of it.
Not the surface of it. The law is very clear that a non-Ghanaian involved in
it is clear, that's what I'm saying,
yes, must be prosecuted and get up to 20 years imprisonment. Do you concede that what you're doing is a flagrant violation of this?
I wouldn't say it's flagrant. It's a violation, but it is not arbitrary. It is not intentional. It is the situation that is dictating the approach. And I think that, yes, we will look at it. We will look at it again. I believe myself, my boss, would look at it. But the bottom line is that the foreigners that are in our forests are a nuisance, and we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them, and we also don't want to choke our prisons with these people. So what do we do? When we arrest a criminal, once you enter the forest, you are a criminal because you are doing an illegal thing. The law debars that. So once we get you are guilty of what you are doing, and therefore, instead of choking our prisons, we think that using the legal system, we can repatriate all of these people back to their countries.
I mean, and just before I bring Darrell in, why is the ministry happy to bear with the frustrations of the legal system when it comes to Ghanaians, but you're not willing to bear with that when it comes to foreigners? You have to explain that for me.
To bear with Ghanaians, I mean,
you're willing to bear with the frustration of the legal system when it comes to Ghanaians who are involved in legal money, but when it comes to foreigners, you have a different strategy. You're not willing to bear with the same frustrations and with the same legal process, the same legal system, the same prison system, but you are willing to throw in Ghanaians and spend the resources to put them in jail. Especially when you admit that the Ghanaians you arrest are not the kingpins, they are not the owners of the equipment. It's the foreigners who are involved in it.
Yes. So if we get rid of the foreigners, seize their equipment, we are about 40% through.
Okay.
You understand?
Please stay with me for a second. I want to bring in Darrell Bosu, who has been with us. Darrell, I wanted to get some clarity on the policy. We have some clarity now. We have some reasoning behind the new intervention, the new strategy. Give me your reaction.
Good evening, Evans, and also good evening to fellow panelists. I must say that, I mean, considering the fact that the ministry have elevated these attacks to dangerous terrorists, I believe that our approach to dealing with them must also change. And I must say, I agree with Professor Aning when he talks about the fact that we need to be very tactical and we need to even elevate the ways in which we really bring the full force of the law against these people. So for me, it is for me very, very sad to hear that the Ministry of Interior is taking the strategy rather to deport these people. By doing this, we are really not giving the people an opportunity to see how deterrent our law is. And by that, they will definitely go and come again, as has been indicated.
Do you sympathize with the practical challenges that the Deputy Minister is just articulating? One, the prison system is choked. Two, the legal system is frustrating. Three, they will get all these lawyers to frustrate the trial. Four, they don't even have passports and it's very difficult to identify who they are. They have real challenges there, and don't waste time doing this. Just deport them and let them leave our shores. Do you have any sympathy for that?
No, unfortunately, I must say that I'm quite confused as to some of the challenges the Deputy Minister is mentioning, because I don't see it to be neither here nor there, because what is good for the goose is also good for the Ghana. And we want to see that, look, if Ghanaians are wallowing in our prison, you say it's congested, it is dirty and all of that, then let the Chinese, let the foreigners also go there so that they know that this is how deterrent our law is. And once you are found culpable, you have to face the full rigors of the law. So
problem is they may not have space for them.
I don't really understand. I don't really understand why they want to, like you said, I mean, treat the foreigners with kid gloves. And it's only the Chinese. We have a lot of other people, other foreigners from the Burkina Faso areas, Mali, all of them. If you go to the ground, you see all of these people on the ground. And it's very sad that we are taking this approach. And just as has been said, the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 995 is very clear. Even if you are liable for deportation, that non-Ghanaian shall, where sentenced to a term of imprisonment, serve the full sentence before deportation in accordance with subsection 3 of section 37 of Act 573. So it's really very important that we really take this into consideration. I believe that by just deporting them, we are whittling down the processes, we are whittling down away our deterrent measure, and they're not going to respect our laws anymore. Now, if I could also speak to the point on
the police,
commanders
yeah,
being reshuffled and all of that, I must say that as part of the strategies to deal with this menace, it is for us very, very important that we are seeing the hierarchy of the police command being reshuffled and moved around. We have seen clear cases where on the ground, the police have become so comfortable, so familiar with these operators that they don't really take the necessary steps to apprehend and stop these illegal activities from happening. So for us, we think that it is very, very, very important that even if it's a short-gap measure, it's definitely going to change the way people on the ground, the officers on the ground, are going to be expected to be accountable to their role of supervision and enforcement, rather than they sit and not do anything. And I think I like the fact that we have also kind of attached some sort of responsibility, some timeline for the new officers to deliver on some key performance indicators, failure of which you are going to be transferred again. I think this is all part of the process. So we need to step up each level of these actions as we go ahead, rather than we getting comfortable, we say we swap them, we reshuffle, and we don't do anything else. So I think we need to step up the game as well. But I think, like you said, if we are really going to shuffle the police, shuffle commanders and all of that, they are going to make arrests, and eventually the ministry is going to decide to exercise their power to deport, then that is really going to dilute the effort that we are all seeking to deal with.
I mean, that was there. Professor Enning, finally we got some clarity from the Deputy Minister. He's explained the reasons behind that new policy intervention. Do you have any sympathy for the key reasons why they're doing this? I think he's given us some clarity.
No, I have absolutely no sympathy. I detest being an independent Ghanaian in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, being treated like a second-class citizen. And let me appeal to His Excellency, the President, directly. Mr. President, this is a policy that would not work. This is a policy that will serve as an attraction for even worse criminals to come, because they know we don't have the capacity to prosecute them. They know we don't have the capacity and the political will to do what is right for the people of this country. This is your legacy term. Let it matter and let it count. Your minister has demonstrated an unwillingness and a reluctance to hold the bull by the horn and resolve this crisis. This is not a time to pussyfoot, Mr. President. Please rescind this policy before this country is destroyed. We cannot have a two-tier law. We cannot have a two-tier implementation process. I think it's useful. We need to give the police officers who are going performance indicators, but we need to give them the resources, Your Excellency, so that the 3 months can be tested and their results checked. The manner in which this has been presented to the Republic of Ghana is shameful, Mr. President. It's not thought through. It is populist, and it's a disgrace. Let this be your legacy term by reclaiming the environment as you promised the people of Ghana in your State of the Nation address. Thank you.
And while at that, I want to bring in the deputy ranking on the Defense Interior Committee. You obviously are opposed to this policy. At the committee level, and this is to the deputy ranking, Kofi Amankwame. At the committee, is there something you can do to stop the implementation of this policy if you believe it is a violation of the law? The minister admits it is. Please unmute for me. Kindly unmute for me. Okay, while we fix that audio problem, thankfully, Joseph Nelson, who is the Western Regional Minister, has also joined us. Mr. Nelson, I'm grateful that you joined us, however briefly, but I need to hear you because your region has been ravaged by illegal mining. I want you to give me your assessment of the new policy interventions that the government is rolling out, the reshuffling of the police officers in mining districts. Many of these illegal mining districts are in your region, and they are going to be bringing in new police commanders who also have 3 months to fix this. But the foreigners who they arrest in your illegal mining communities there will only be deported. Give me your reaction to this as a chair of the Regional Security Council.
Yeah, Evans, good evening to you and my fellow.
Hello, Mr. Nelson.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. I was apologizing for joining you late because of the
it's fine.
challenge.
It's fine. It's better to have you than not because you are a region that is fundamentally most affected, hardest hit. So I want to hear a quick response to the new government policy announcement on illegal mining war.
Yeah, Evans, I think that we all admit that this menace is widespread, it's challenging, and that we will need every commitment to be able to fight it. And if you look at the fight, I believe that for the ministries we have Ministry of Environment, we have the Lands Ministry, and now, of course, the Interior Ministry that has also come up with this new policy. Prior to the introduction of this new policy, we had the Lands Minister introduced the Blue Water Initiative, which was launched in the Western region. As we speak, trainees are still under training, getting prepared to be, assigned roles to be able to protect our water bodies. That is very refreshing. You speak about new policies coming up. Of course, the Interior Minister has come up with this policy about foreigners. I don't want to go in there because as Regional Minister, my role specifically is complementary. Policy initiation always emanates from the ministry.
Yeah, but you must have a view, considering that your region is going to suffer the effects of this particular policy, if it's right or if it's wrong.
Well, I listened to the Deputy Minister. I think that the submission he made, in one sense, I think that when he spoke about the prisons being congested, we all admit that that is the case. I mean, I have a prison in Secondary, and as part of my tour, I've gone there, and the situation there is dire. And so, to add to the numbers is going to compound the situation. But that notwithstanding, I think that when people commit crimes, they must be punished. That's fundamental. But I mean, I don't want to debate the issue as introduced
So your preference is to have the foreigners arrested, prosecuted here in Ghana, and jailed here?
Well, yes, those ones that we have arrested in the Western region, we'll put them before court. I mean, that's the normal logical.
Even the foreigners? Even the foreigners?
Well, yes, we arrested some Chinese, and then the police took them through the process of, taking them to court and all of that. Well, let's say that these policy has just been introduced. I think that just last week or so is when I heard about it. And so, but I've been in office close to 2 months. So there are some foreigners that have been arrested. And these were arrested prior to the introduction of this new policy. And so that is how we dealt with that. So I'm yet to really appreciate the pros and cons of this new policy. That is why I said that I want to stay off it for now until I'm able to better appreciate all the rationale, the reasons behind it. And my observation is that this is a fight that is big. It will require commitment of all players to be able to deal with it. Because if you come to the Western region, we have 14 MMDAs, that's Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Assemblies. 11 of them are under siege by, illegal miners. And of course, the attendant destruction of the environment that, comes with it. And so dealing with it is some challenge. You require logistics. And sometimes when I hear people say that, oh, why not just order the military to go arrest people? It's not as simple as that. When you go on operation, you require men, you require vehicles, you need what do you call it? Wheel loaders to go carry the excavators. I mean, it's a whole lot. And so I think that fighting it requires some understanding of, the magnitude of the challenge that we have. And then that will also allow us to think through how much resources we need to fight it. And of course, like I always say, the commitment to stay on course. Because arresting people, of course, Ghanaians are involved, principally. And I mean, when you arrest people, you always get calls coming through from, people who think that they can get through to the minister and get him to, intervene in one way or the other, and all of that. All those ones are there. But I think that if we stay on course, we are committed to ridding our society of this menace, I think we will succeed.
Okay. And Kofi Amankwamenu, very quickly, you believe this is a violation of the Minerals Amendment Act? Can your committee intervene, do anything?
Well, as a committee, Evans, I think that what we'll have to do is to look at the new proposal and then, judge and see what exactly we can do to help our country. But Evans, one thing we must know is that we are a country of law, and the law cannot be applied, on selective basis. This saying that prisons are congested and all that, for me, are neither here nor there. Somebody is committed a crime. We have laws in this country. And as Professor Nim read, the law
Act,
and the punitive measures, I believe that we must apply the law fairly and equally. The foreigner cannot be treated with kid's cloth while Ghanaians are punished. I don't see where really this is coming from. But one thing is that, Evans, you can be rest assured that the minority on the committee will do constructive, criticisms. We will try to help to fight this menace. But I am glad that finally, people are coming to terms with the reality and the gravity of the problems at hand.
Yeah.
We used to talk about it, but we politicized the whole issue.
Well,
now we've come face to face. And for me, it is scary. That is why I began by saying that I don't want us to politicize the issue of galamsey.
You made that point at the beginning, and it's a very important point, fundamentally, to winning this war. Treating it like a crime, pure and simple. It has no political colors. I'm grateful, Kofi Amankwamenu, Prof, the Deputy Interior Minister, who helped us understand the new policy and the thinking rationale behind it, and also Dara Bosu, and the Western Regional Minister, who is bearing the brunt of illegal mining galamsey. He is really at the tip of this particular war. Enjoy the rest of your evening.